What are the key elements that you must include in your CV? Well, as you know, your CV is a great tool for branding yourself and for expressing your value to those dream employers. It's a no-brainer to make sure your CV is the absolute best it possibly can and to invest time into it, because it's the one piece that you have all the time to think about in advance, in preparation, before the job interview. And of course, it can open those doors that you're looking to open for that next career opportunity. I'm Dahlia, I'm a career strategist. What I do is I help people find their new career mission and rebrand them for the new economy so that they can get those dream jobs, even if they've already applied to those jobs before and they've been rejected. Most of the time when we redo your CV, then that's when all of a sudden an employer that previously rejected you is now saying, oh, hey, we've seen your CV and we'd like to call you in for an interview. This happens all the time. I just had a client, John, this happened for him, and we redid his CV and he said, Dahlia, the employer that I've applied 3 times and all of a sudden they're ready to interview me and give me the job. But in the end, he turned them down and he ended up going with someone else because by then he had all these other offers. So this is the kind of thing that can happen when you rebrand yourself the right way. And I wouldn't say it all comes down to your CV, because of course there are other factors as well, but one of the core pieces to your rebranding is the CV, because that is how you express what you've done, obviously your experience, and the value that you have to offer. So let's get started. What do you want to make sure you are including in your CV? And make sure you stay until the end so that you get the full list and you can make sure that you have all of them on your CV so that you are able to not miss out on anything and lose out on a job that you should have gotten. The first thing to consider is the length, the size of your CV. So as a general rule, you want to aim for 2 pages. Is this a strict rule? Well, no. For some of you, you're going to prefer to do 1 page. For some of you, you're going to prefer 3 pages. If you're in academia and you need to list every single publication you've ever done, that might go on longer. But as a general rule, you do want to have a version. You could have a full version of your CV that is 5 pages long, but then you want to have a short resume of just 2 pages long. 2 pages is that sweet spot these days because it's long enough that it shows you have plenty of experience, but not so long that they're just going to get overwhelmed and not actually read it. Now, for the basics, make sure you've included your contact details. It should be really, really easy to send you an email or to phone you. You can leave out your address. That's a bit old school and nobody needs to know where you live, right down to your house and street. You don't need to be giving out that information, but make sure you have your full name, first name, last name, and email address. Obviously, you should know this, but not a weird email address. Make sure it's something to do with your name. And if you don't have an email address like that, create one. And then obviously link to your LinkedIn profile. That is kind of expected these days. Again, it's not a 100% must, but I would strongly encourage you to get on LinkedIn. It's something that can help your branding so much, and it's like a low-hanging fruit. Why not be on LinkedIn? The next section you want to have right at the top, and a lot of people miss out on this, is a personal profile section. So this is a summary of who you are. You want to put yourself into the employer's shoes. Imagine they're picking up this piece of paper, they have no idea who you are, and they have this long list, right, of experience, etc. But at the very top, you tell them, this is me, this is who I am, this is why you should hire me, in just a couple of short bullets. And those are going to be the bullet points that give them that overview of who you are and make them want to actually read the rest of your CV. Never ever make the mistake of assuming that just because you've applied for something, they're actually going to read every line of your CV. Most of the time, they are human like you, they are just skimming. So anything you can do to draw their attention in, you want to have that right at the top, your profile. That's going to be maybe in slightly bigger lettering, and make sure that they are understanding how amazing you are, understanding the value you have to provide, and understanding your story right at the top so that they're pulled in and encouraged to actually go more into detail and read what else you've done. Next up, you want to make sure you've listed your relevant education. Put the most recent first. For example, you'd have master's and then you'd have your bachelor's degree. normally you should add the dates. Some people, if it has been a really, really, really long time since you've graduated, you might want to just leave the dates out, right? No need to show people exactly how old you are. But yeah, usually you would put the dates and then put the relevant degree. If you have an amazing GPA, sure, include that. And if you have any relevant courses you took, you could slip those in there just to make sure that they're aware that you did a specific class or a specific course. Now, if you're the kind of person who has done like 5 different degrees plus extra college courses and credits here and there, and you just have a ton of certifications that you've done, what you can do is you can add a training and certifications part at the end, and just include your main degrees at the top. And then if you have a ton of certifications that don't have that much to do with the job you're applying for, I would suggest to leave them out, because again, it's as much about what's not there as what's there, because the more information you have, the less likely it is that they'll read the information you really want them to read. Like I said before, they might not read everything. So the less you have, the more likely it is that they'll actually read what is there. And so just make sure you're not including too much stuff if it's going to weigh your CV down. Next up is your work experience, your history, really, really important section. But where people get it wrong is they list out where they've worked and what their job title is, and then they write down their responsibility, like responsible for minding the books all day long and answering customer queries. But that doesn't say what's special about you. That's just the job description, and whoever is in that role is going to do those things. So you want to, as much as possible, quantify your achievements, and instead of writing your generalized role, write down what did you achieve in that position. And don't overcomplicate this. Don't start thinking to yourself, well, was that achievement really thanks to me? Wouldn't someone else have achieved the same thing? You're not there to imagine hypothetical other people and try to think about, if they were in your position, would they have achieved the same thing? Maybe they would have, maybe they wouldn't have. It doesn't matter, right? All that stuff is hypothetical. All you need to write down is, what did you do while you were there? Whether someone else would have done the exact same thing and achieved the same as you, I don't know. But you're not there to judge that. Just write down what you achieved, whether you did it on your own, whether you did it as a part of a team. You can still claim the achievement. You're not necessarily saying you single-handedly did this. You can say, as part of a team, this was the impact that the team had. This is what you contributed to, and as much as possible, you want to put numbers. So if you say managed a team, how many people? A team of 4 people, a team of 20 people. And what was the output, right? Was it $5.6 million a year increased profits? Was it that you managed a budget of $5.6 million? Was it, if you can't quantify it with a currency amount, was it saved time? Was it that you processed a certain number of customer queries? I don't know, but whenever you can add a number, make sure to do that. Now, my final tip is to make sure you include keywords from the job description. Every time you send a CV to someone, you shouldn't just send the same CV. Check what's in the job description, or try to think about what keywords they're probably looking for, and then make sure you've added those keywords in. If you're not sure where to add them, the kind of cheat way is to add a key skills section and then just take their keywords and put them there. And that's just going to help you get past that ATS system where they might automatically not even look at your CV because you don't have the relevant keywords. So definitely make sure you have those keywords in there. So those are the key parts of the CV. Let me know if you already have those or not. Is that how you're doing your CV these days? And when it comes to CVs, people agonize over them a lot. People are always asking me, what about this? What about that detail? What's the right way to do this? The right way to do that? And most of the time, it's not about one specific tweak. It's more about what is the overall impression that your CV is giving. And I think that's the key thing that a lot of people miss out on. It's that they get so obsessed with the details that and with perfection and being perfect and fitting into the mold, that they end up sounding like a corporate, like I said before, like a kind of a corporate robot, where your CV just sounds like everyone else, and it's technically a perfect CV. And I've even seen people go and have their CVs professionally redone and they come to see me and they say, Dahlia, I've done everything. I've worked with career coaches. I've had people rewrite my CV. How come I'm still not getting any interviews? And I read their CV and I realize, well, there's nothing special about you in the CV. It just sounds like corporate mumbo jumbo, and the CV is boring to you. It's boring to the person on the other side. You're not showing what's different between you and other candidates. It's full of those cliche buzzwords like highly motivated individual and results oriented and all that kind of stuff that doesn't mean anything anymore. That worked maybe 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago, you could use those words and maybe it sounded impressive, but these days they've become so overused, nobody will believe you. They just read the CV, they see blah, 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 blah. They skip over it, they do their skimming, and they're on to the next one, and nothing stands out, and that's why you're not getting those callbacks for interviews. These days, you need to be more creative, more original. It's not about the perfect CV. It's about, have you told your story? Have you differentiated yourself from the competition? It's so, so, so important to think in terms of that versus this kind of, how do I fit myself into this specific job box description? So just try to keep making sure that you're not thinking in the old way of job hunting that so many people are used to, because I really see that holding a lot of people back. If you want to know more techniques for how to brand yourself in the new economy, how to reset yourself for your job search, reset your career, again, for the world that we have today, because a lot of people are still in the world from yesterday, and that's why they're wondering why it's not working anymore, why they're not able to get the jobs they want to get. What I've done is I've made a free training for you. I'll link it down below and you can check that out, and that's going to go through all the steps you need to follow to, again, reset your career and get yourself into that role where you're motivated to get out of bed in the morning, but that you are also highly paid in, and you can even earn more in those kinds of roles than what you're currently being paid right now. So I'll link that below. Make sure you join. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so you can keep checking out more advanced career branding tips for the new economy. I have new videos coming out all week long, every week. So check that out. And yeah, I think I'm rambling now, so I will let you go. But let me know below if you have any other CV questions, and I will see you in the next video.